Thank you, appreciate it.
In the middle, coming up.
I thought you were going to be later.
I thought you were going to be earlier. That's me on a mountain bike. Yeah. I've got an aerial helmet. Because speed. Yay, they're here.
Yeah, I'm going to be
Good morning, ladies and
SOL because I don't have that water tag.
Kind of a lake out there. I hear it's pretty salty.
I wanted to wish Jason Cole a very, very happy 43rd birthday. Everyone give Jason a round of applause for his 43rd birthday. Happy birthday, Jason.
All right, we're going to stop there because I think this video is going to need some context. What's up, my Made-Life Shredders? Welcome to MTB Over 40. My name's Bobby. Thanks for checking out another video. If this is your first time checking out any of my videos, man, you picked a good one. Because, I mean, a trip to Utah, I mean, phenomenal. Yeah. So as you can tell, I traveled to Utah for the Fezzari annual ambassador gathering. They have it every year. It's an amazing time. All the ambassadors for the bike company gets together. They hang out, they ride, they talk about what's coming up, all that good stuff. I wasn't able to do it last year because of work. This year, I threw it on my calendar. I'm gonna try everything I can do to make sure I can be available for that, and it worked out perfectly. So me and my friend Jason, who's also an ambassador, we traveled to Utah, and we get there, and our friend Aaron Tuttle picked us up at the airport and took us straight to Fezzari headquarters. There we met our buddy Sven, who's like, hey, you guys want a tour? We're like, yeah, I want a tour. Fezzari headquarters is amazing because it's, you know, in the front, as soon as you walk through the door, it's got this amazing showroom with all their bikes displayed very creatively. And then if you go in the back, it's where all the bikes are put together, worked on, assembled, all the storages. I mean, they got a really cool layout. Jason and I were sitting up in the lounge area, which actually overlooks both sides. We're just sitting up there going, how amazing is this, right?
Can you believe this, man?
We just end up in heaven.
So after all that, we got wind of a night ride. I mean, the gathering hasn't even officially kicked off yet, and we're already talking about a night ride. We loaded up all our luggage and bikes and went to the hotel and put our bikes together and gear and all that stuff. And one thing I figured out was, yeah, you gotta always take your rotors off. And I made that mistake because my rear rotor was bent to crap. And we worked hard to bend it back, but it wasn't perfect. And it still had some rubbing. And I was just like, hey, if the wheel turns at least several rotations, then I'm good. We all met up at Eagle Mountain. Big group of Fezzari ambassadors got there. Now, I have to preface this because I think it's important. One, Jason and I have been traveling all day. Two, I was on a bike that, wasn't riding great because of the bent rotor, and there was a couple other issues I was having. Three, I'm about 5,500 feet elevation, maybe 5,000 feet elevation, whereas Nashville is like 500 feet elevation. So yeah, I've only been in the state for a couple hours, so I had that to deal with. Four, it's a night ride on trails I've never been on. I thought about all this, but I didn't really, let it hinder me. But yeah, all that was kind of, it was hindering me. Oh, and five, the first thing we do is start climbing. Yeah. Oh. And if you know anything about me, if you watch my channel at all, you know that I'm not the best climber. And so it was tough. It was tough at first. I won't deny that. In fact, pretty much the first 2 miles was almost all uphill. But it was an amazing view. We got to overlook the town, and there was like storms in the background that you could see the lightning, which was really epic. I mean, the GoPro just doesn't capture enough. And I will say the descent was pretty epic. I wish I had been able to see it more because I would have definitely not braked as hard. but it looked phenomenal. I wish it was daylight. Note to self, if you're gonna do night rides, definitely have a helmet light and a bar light. I just had a bar light because it was literally my only second night ride I've ever done in my life. But I had to kind of rely on people behind me, like using their lights to kind of look ahead of me because I could not see around. You know, the bar light's great for seeing what's in front of you, but once you start coming on kind of corners and things like that, if you don't have your head, because obviously you're gonna look in that direction, you can't see what's going on. You don't see what's there. So it's kind of freaky, a little scary, I have to admit. The ambiance, the people, the trail, I mean, it was an amazing time. A lot of fun, but I will say, dog tired. I mean, we ended that day with just like, I don't even remember what happened that night. I know we ate something, but I don't even remember what it was. I mean, I was so tired. We traveled all day, got a tour of HQ. We did a night ride, did 1,000 feet of climbing. I mean, yeah, it was a long day. First full day in Utah. Here with Jeff, fellow ambassador.
What's up?
Jason, back behind me. You guys know him. I'm not gonna lie, last night kicked my butt. It was still fun, getting acclimated a little bit. A little bit of Utah dirt under my tires. Had some mechanical issues. I got a bent rotor. I need a brake bleed, but heading to Fezzari HQ. It's the best place to get that done. More sick riding coming up, and yeah, looking forward to a full day of riding with daylight, so now I can see what all there is to offer here in the great state of Utah. Okay, so our second day was officially the day, and that's when all the ambassadors got together all in one place. We met that morning, doled out some pretty sweet swag, a jersey, a hat, and yeah, it was cool to see everybody that I've only seen online, on social media or videos and things like that.
So we got Joseph, minor biker. Awesome channel. The infamous Brian Peterson. In the plaid, no less. Do not expect anything less.
Who's this guy?
Who's this guy?
Who's this guy?
Dude, let me see that Caterpillar, man. Look at that.
I like to call it a lip sweater.
It was a pretty dope time, I have to admit. So we discussed what we're doing for the day, and one of the things they wanted to do, what Fezzari wanted to do, was do kind of a little media campaign. So we all went back to Eagle Mountain, and they brought photographers, video people, drone pilots, and they just wanted us to ride a couple different areas off of Eagle Mountain. Now, I will say, if I didn't mention this before, I still was not 100% because of my shoulder and my wrist from the accident I had like 4 weeks prior to that. And I knew that, and I knew I was not gonna probably ride my best riding out in Utah. So, but the other thing that was a hang up was that my LaSalle having some issues. I had to leave that at Fezzari headquarters, and they gave me a demo bike literally right before we're leaving. They said, here's a demo bike you can have real quick just for today's ride, which was exciting at first because it was the Fezzari LaSalle 2, but I found out one thing about myself that I really didn't realize this was important, and I'm pretty much a diva when it comes to my bike setup.
None of my cockpit is I'm used to.
The handlebars were not what I usually ride. The grips weren't what I usually ride. The brakes weren't Magura like I enjoy. The wheels weren't the engagement that I'm used to, like with my Industry 9 1x1s. I mean, nothing just felt right. And so that coupled with my shoulder and wrist and not feeling 100%, I didn't really send it. There's a drop that I knew I could do, but I was just like, I don't know, man. I was just like, I'm not even really used to this bike.
What do you think, Bobby?
No.
Huh?
I mean, I could do it, but I'm not doing it with my wrist.
Yeah.
But that changed a little bit when we got to the jump lines.
I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to.
Now this jump line at Eagle Mountain is pretty sick. You've probably seen it on social media. If you follow Shredderholics or Christian Pepper, those guys were part of the team that built this jump line at Eagle Mountain, and it was phenomenal. I was like, I gotta do this, at least roll it. And at first, I just looked at, there's 3 lines. There's like a chicken line, an advanced line, and a pro line. And obviously, I was just gonna stick to the chicken line, which actually is pretty fun. You could easily oversend some of the jumps, but I mean, you can get a rhythm to it, and it was still a lot of fun. A lot of the guys were doing that line and whipping and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to try to see if I could just stay on the bike and jump again, because I hadn't been jumping yet, since the wreck, and so I just wanted to get a feel for it, and it was pretty cool. A lot of the guys that I've seen on video and stuff like that were all there, and we were all just kind of just doing these lines over and over. Got to ride with Richie Schley, and he was doing the advanced line when I was doing the chicken line, and I guess I shouldn't call it chicken line, right? Probably a beginner line would probably be the best term, right? I would think so, yeah. Beginner line, sorry. But I was on the beginner line and Richie was on the advanced line, and it was so fun to meet him, ride with him. Everybody was feeling the stoke, so it was awesome time there at Eagle Mountain. But we wrapped it up and we head back to headquarters because there was more going on. Fezzari had this big, huge sale going on. They had vendors out, they had food out, they had lots of stuff. They were blowing out some inventory that they had left over. They also had some components they were selling really cheap. And they set up, kind of this little obstacle course there in the parking lot. And a lot of the guys were attempting that. Christian Pepper showed up, and it was pretty cool to see him and ride with him, get to meet him. That was awesome. It was great. So that was the end of day 2.
Jeff Jackson number 2. Look at that. Sweet, it worked. Never done lifts. First time.
Dude, shake it.
Oh, it's higher up now.
Not the orange thing.
Right up here on the green line. On the green line.
On the green line. Green line, green line.
Not bad.
We did it right. All right, day 3 was amazing. Now, ever since I told people I was coming to Utah, everybody was like, okay, if you're gonna be in Salt Lake, you gotta do Deer Valley. Everybody was talking about Deer Valley, how cool it was, how fun it was. It's lift access. So I was like, yeah, lift access, that sounds good to me. Let's do that.
First time on the lift. Excited? You guys yep. You ready to do this?
Ready for it.
We're all newbies at Deer Valley, so that's cool.
I was back on my LaSalle V1, had my cockpit, all my setup, but I got a new rotor, got the caliper working fine and things like that, but there was still some issues. Everything is just descent, so not a problem. As long as the brakes worked, I was good to go. There are so many options at Deer Valley. I mean, there's jump lines, there's downhill tech, there's green flow lines, everything from green, blue, black, double black, you name it, they've got it. Tidal Wave was an amazing jump line. I mean, it was a blue jump line, but it was long. I mean, it's super long. They said it's like got 50 jumps on it. Now, I didn't count them all, but I would say that by the time you're done with it, it's pretty good work. I was pretty worn out. And I did it 3 times. And on the 3rd time, I was finally feeling comfortable, back to jumping again, clearing probably about 80% of that. Aspen Slalom was another fun one. It was very steep, downhill, enduro-ish, tech trails, a lot of rock, root, some stuff I had to get off the bike for.
No, I think Windwalk's easier.
I have to say, I really enjoyed that. Twist and Shout, again, top to bottom, it has a mix of everything from some techie stuff to flow and jump lines. Really enjoyed Twist and Shout. Yeah, but even some of those green flow trails, they were fun. I mean, it's fast and flowy, and you can just pump the bike and get used to. There's some hills you could probably jump. All in all, I mean, if you just want to kind of chill and fast berms, high berms, and get used to it. If jumping's not your thing, I mean, some of those green flow trails were just phenomenal. I had a lot of fun on. So after several trips of Deer Valley, it was time to call it a day. We get back to Fezzari HQ that night, had some meetings. We talked about some new stuff coming out. We weren't allowed to take pictures, so I can't show you anything, but I will say I'm pretty excited for what's about to come.
Really nice.
So we ended that night with dinner and discussions and a lot of fun, but we had one more day, one more full day, and that was Saturday.
But yeah, man, we're gearing up. We're about to
head up and have some fun here at Payson Canyon. First time, so looking forward to it. Here we go.
Payson Canyon, everybody was raving about. And my friend Norm Nielsen, who's the Fezzari race team manager, he kind of twisted my arm a little bit and says, no, you need to come to Payson Canyon. If you got nothing else, if you're not going to do anything else on this trip, come to Payson Canyon. And I'm grateful he did, because Payson Canyon was amazing. Now, we're going to shuttle everything in Payson Canyon, because we're going to start around 8,500, 9,000 feet of elevation, and basically it was going to be descent. So we had several trucks to shuttle. That was really cool.
That's what you're in for the day. As soon as your car's full, ride whatever the hell you want. So my truck is doing Benny Creek first as a warm-up, and what we'll do is I'm going to drive the first round, and the reason why we're stashing people in trucks as much as possible is if I drive once, that means I get 6 shuttles. We will get plenty of rides.
Benny Creek was this all natural cut trail, really flowy, had some, yeah, it was just a natural cut. So you could just really just sail down some of this stuff. Has some steep grades. I don't remember what degree grades it was on Benny Creek, but I know on some of the other trails it was like almost like 40 degree, but a lot of fun, great dirt. There was a drop session that we had. Again, with my shoulder and wrist, I was like, nah, I could probably do it, but nah, not here. I want to enjoy the rest of this. So got some of the other guys doing the drops, very cool time. And then we finished it out fast, flowy. Man, it was just an exciting time. And I will say, you know, I probably didn't mention this before, but I am going to do some other videos, more of a deep dive into some of these trails, so you get a bigger glimpse of all this. This is just a highlight video, so don't worry. I will do some deep dives on some of these trails a little bit later on. Very top of the canyon, and we're going to hit NC-17. Now, from what I'm told, NC-17 is not marked. I don't think it's marked on Trail Forks. I tried to look it up, but it didn't really show that. But that's kind of common for some of these areas that they're not going to be marked on Trail Forks. The locals just call it NC-17, and I was just following everybody else. But this trail, I have to say, was phenomenal. I mean, Deer Valley was awesome, and for a bike park, that I haven't ridden anything better in Deer Valley. But for all natural trails, NC-17 was by far my favorite. I mean, it started off with some of these gap jumps that I was watching everybody else do. Again, I wasn't gonna risk it. Beautiful scenery, beautiful overlooks. The riding was just so fun. I mean, you're basically going downhill the whole time. There's like hardly any pedaling at all. I think for NC-17, I think I climbed a total of 100 feet. That's it. That's it, and that was over 6 miles and about 3,500 feet drop of elevation. Wow. It took us almost an hour to complete. I mean, it's hard to describe and hard to recount like everything that happened on those trails, but some of the steep grades on NC-17 was even steeper than Benny Creek. And so the videos don't really, you know, give it justice. I mean, this stuff was steep. The dirt was amazing, so I was hardly slipping out. The one time I did fall was just really my mistake. I just leaned the bike too far one way, but it looks easy on camera, but when you're there in person, you're like, hell, I don't know if I'm doing that. But you could. As long as you're comfortable on the bike doing some steep stuff, you basically just stay on the bike. Just stay on the bike, stay on the brakes, and just let it go a little bit.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, man. Woo.
Make it all the way down?
Yep.
Can't say enough about Payson Canyon. We only did those 2 trails, or I only did those 2 trails because I was a shuttler on another trip, taking people up and going back down. Getting late, and we needed to get back to the hotel. We needed to pack up. We had an early flight on Sunday, like a 6 a.m. flight, so we needed to get everything packed up and to bed at a decent time. That was it.
All right, actually, so that wasn't it. I made a little mistake. I totally forgot our quick laps at Corner Canyon. Our friend Jeff said, hey, you guys got about 30 minutes. Why don't you do a couple laps at Corner Canyon? I've done them. I'll shuttle you up. And so we did. We did Levitate and Vertigo, and that was a lot of fun. It was just kind of the icing on the cake of the whole trip. So I don't know why I totally forgot about that, but just wanted to throw those in there. That really was the last thing we did before we had to head to the hotel.
Phenomenal. I mean, I can't say enough about Utah. Even though we're in just one section, of the state up there in Salt Lake and Park City and all that. So, you know, I will say this, if you're going to go to Utah, put Salt Lake City on the map. I mean, at least Deer Valley, definitely you gotta hit, and Payson Canyon, you know, again, you gotta hit. I will do some deep dives into these videos as soon as I can, you know, so you get a better look, like I mentioned before. You'll have a better look at some of these trails and more, you know, more deep dive onto those experiences. This was just a highlight video. Just wanted to show you guys all that we did, just to give you a glimpse of what Utah has to offer. And I have to say, I'm going back. St. George, would love to hit up St. George, Moab, so many places to go in Utah. I mean, you need to kind of spend like a couple of weeks actually. If you like this kind of stuff, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, subscribe, bell notification, all that stuff. Would love to have you along for the journey. That's all this is. Me in my midlife, hitting the trails, staying on the bike, and just trying to learn all this stuff as I go and experience new stuff. So if you want to be along for the ride, love to have you as a subscriber. Thank you. The channel has been growing tremendously, so thank you to all the new subscribers out there. Guys, if you want to help out the channel at all, I've got some affiliate links down below. I get a little bit of percentage of anything that you guys buy off those links. Just helps the channel. All that money goes back into doing this. Experiences, gear, all that kind of stuff. I would love your support if you guys could do that for me. Until the next time, live, learn, and send it. It is never too late to start. We'll see you guys.
There he is. That was cool. That was sweet.